I'm sorry it's been so long. Today I'm going to make my long-awaited part 2 for my video that I made in October entitled How I Made an EP with Almost No Money or Skills, which somehow did pretty well, and I'm so happy about that. Thank you so much. I mean, like, I just sat in my room and chatted shit for an hour, and I'm so happy that people like resonated with it, found it interesting. The comments on the video are so nice and I've had so much fun reading them. It's taken me so long to get around to doing this part 2, partly because I kind of didn't know what to say when it comes to promoting. I mean, it's a minefield. We're going to explore it today. I was really like struggling to come up with kind of a framework for how I was going to talk about the promotion of the EP, mainly because I flopped. Like, I really didn't promote it very well, in my opinion. Now looking back, there's so many things I'd change. So I thought, in the spirit of honesty and sharing the process and being honest about what it's like to be an independent artist, let's talk about how I flopped. This might not be like totally useful because I'm not sharing tips and advice that have worked for me. It's more like my reflections on the whole thing. Wind blow, it's never felt so. First things first, actually I think like has been my favourite part of releasing all the music I've done so far, which is making the album art. I don't know why, I love it, and I'm not particularly like visually artistic person. The album art for Seconds looks like this. Here are some other versions that I also made. I made like a collage with some pictures. There's also some random shit like hair clips and like earrings, I think, is in there that I kind of laid out, and then using my phone I like did a scan in the Notes app. You can like scan documents in. I took 2 pieces of ripped up paper and like wrote my name, handwritten, whatever, scanned them into the top half of the printer, and then I used Canva Pro to put the whole thing together and like shift things around and make it into a nice square. I think scanning stuff, I don't know why, I just think it always looks nice. Like, you don't have to have a good scanner to do it. It kind of looks a bit rough, but like in a nice way, and so much better than a phone photo. At the same time as I made the cover art, I also made the single art, which is the same like pieces of ripped up paper that I put on the back of an A4 notebook, and that's that blue colour, and I scanned that in to the scanner and that's how I made that. Again, it's all very DIY, but that's the beauty. There's literally no more editing on it other than that. That's all I did. I also made a track list with the names of the tracks, and that was kind of what I posted initially on Instagram, I think, when I kind of announced that I was releasing an EP. I also used the same album art as the like background thingy on Spotify. I don't know what they're called. The like moving things that happen with the songs. I'm gonna put it on the screen because I forget the name. Listen, we'll get to this in a minute, but I think one of the biggest mistakes I made with my EP is not making enough like visual content. I just wish I made more. As I said, we'll get to that. But pretty much that's the cover art, how I made it. We're going to get onto the distribution now of the music. This is something that like always confused me before I started releasing music on Spotify, and something that people in my real life ask me about a lot, and people just often ask me like, how do you get your songs on Spotify independently? Because you can't just like upload to Spotify willy-nilly. You have to kind of like pay another company to distribute your music and put it on all the streaming platforms. DistroKid is the one I use and the one I've always used. I think I chose it just because it's kind of the first one that pops up. A lot of independent artists use it, and honestly I really recommend it. I've had no problems with it. You have to pay a yearly subscription, and then whenever you kind of like withdraw money from Spotify or whatever it is, they take a little bit, I think, but maybe that's just, it's like a processing fee rather than the website taking money. Anyway, I've never had problems with it. It's worked really well for me, and they update really often, so like they're always updating with new streaming platforms and whatnot. I think they have like a few tiers. I pay for the kind of like second tier up. It's a bit more expensive, but if you don't pay a bit more, you can't decide when you want your song to be released. Like, it just kind of pops up. It doesn't have a release date. So if you want a release date, you have to pay a bit more. And I think you should definitely have a release date, because if you don't know when your song's released, how the hell are you going to tell anyone else? In my last video, I also spoke about how I used their like mastering service, AI mastering, to master my songs, which I probably wouldn't do again. So yeah, all I did is, when I decided I was going to release the EP, you upload all your files to DistroKid and you make sure they all have a nice title. Obviously Seconds was getting released first because it was the single, and then the rest of it was the rest of the EP. I had to put Seconds, like the little code, into when I uploaded the EP, if that makes sense, so that it would be one song, not Seconds the single, Seconds in the EP. It would just come out as like one track. I don't know if that makes sense. The great thing about not having a team is that I don't pay anyone after I've uploaded the music, so everything that I make from the songs I get to keep, because I am a producer. Makes the trees taller. Let's talk about promotion. It's my least favourite thing to talk about because it's not fun to talk about things you're bad at. While I was at uni, I like basically dropped off the face of the earth in terms of like, as a teenager, I had like amassed a bit of a momentum with YouTube and Instagram and music, and kind of as that was getting going, I went to university and like didn't release anything for 3 years, which I think is my first mistake, but listen, we can't change that now. So it was kind of interesting releasing this EP when I hadn't really posted in a really long time, and like majority of my audience comes from YouTube and people follow me on Instagram and things. It was a weird position to be in because I really hadn't been doing music for 3 years, and then all of a sudden I chucked an EP out into Spotify. And maybe that was not the best idea. I think if I'd have done it again, I would have spent a bit of time like posting on YouTube again, putting myself out into the world, like gathering a bit of a new audience and kind of like reminding people of who I was, because I think like a lot of people just didn't care or had forgotten who I was or had like rightfully moved on because I had disappeared. So I don't know, it's an interesting reflection, and it was like a challenge, I guess. I can't remember how, I think I announced Seconds like 2 weeks before it was released, and then the rest of the EP came out a month or so later. I made this TikTok / like Instagram reel, which was like me singing the song and then it would like fade into the produced version. I really love this video, and I made a few more TikToks that were like me attempting to promote the EP, but to be honest, I think they're all shit. Promoting your music as an indie artist is so hard, especially on TikTok. I love and hate it, I really do, because I found some really amazing artists from there, but it just feels like you're posting into the void sometimes, and that's definitely how I felt. The other things I did were I submitted myself to BBC Introducing, which I highly recommend. I was lucky enough that I got on, and I was played on Radio 6, guys. It's my claim to fame. It was at 3 a.m, so I wasn't awake to hear it, and I don't think anybody else in the world was either, but listen, it happened and I'm thrilled. I definitely recommend submitting to BBC Introducing. Like, it's a easy thing to do, and again, in hindsight, I would have done it earlier so that the song could have been played like before the release date, and then they could have mentioned that it was coming out. I also don't think this really helped with promotion, to be quite honest with you. I can see like my streaming analytics and literally nothing changed after I was played on the radio. However, it's really cool. The other thing is I entered Song Academy's Young Songwriter competition, and I won, which was so cool. Again, I don't know really if this helped with streaming, but it was a nice thing to do. So there you have it. I'll link that competition below. I think they will probably be taking entries soon for next year, so if you're under 22, like, you can enter. Pretty much that concludes everything I did to promote my EP. So let's take a moment of silence for literally me doing about 3 things. As I said, when I released the EP, I was like so just like jumping back into a world that I had left for a long time. And now that I've been back doing music a lot longer, here is everything I think I would have done differently, or I will do differently next time. As per don't take advice from me. As I kept saying in my last video, I'm just musing and guessing and seeing what works. So this is things that I think I'll do next time. Number 1, TikTok doesn't value content that takes you a lot of time to make. And I spend a lot of time on my TikToks. I like making TikToks with harmonies and nice audio and all of this stuff. And what I found is that people, like, it doesn't make a difference, really, if people find your videos or not as a musician. So I think when it came to promoting my EP, I would have spammed a little bit more. I think I was a bit too embarrassed when I was promoting. And this is definitely something I think a lot of indie artists have, is like, it's really embarrassing to have to constantly promote yourself, to post into the void, to have to beg people to listen to your music, but you actually have to get over it and just do it anyway. And I wish I just got over it and did it anyway. I should have made more silly videos. I should have given my songs more of a story. I should have just made more. I think the thing with TikTok is you just have to post tons and tons and tons. I really don't like doing that, but if I was promoting an EP, maybe I would do it again. Also, here's the thing, you actually don't have to post on TikTok as an independent artist. I think for some reason people think it is now the way to succeed in music. I actually don't think it is, and maybe even next time I wouldn't post anything on TikTok at all. Girl, this is so funny to edit, because tell me how I just gave some advice and then it immediately backtracked. The point is, TikTok can work so well for some people, and it's an amazing platform for like getting yourself out there when it works. But my first 2 songs, I don't think TikTok existed, or like if it did, it was tiny. I've never been particularly successful on TikTok now, and I've still managed to get people to listen to my music. So I think if you are an independent artist and you post TikToks that are getting like not many views, just don't be discouraged. I don't think it means anything. It's a lot of luck, and also you can find people to listen to your music without TikTok, definitely. And actually, something I didn't really mention when I was filming this is gigging and like doing things in person. That's been like my favorite thing I've done in 2024. I've played a lot of gigs, and I've also gone to a lot of gigs with other small artists and just like met people and spoken to people. And that is just infinitely more valuable, I think, than like getting a video with 1 million views. Because you can have one video with 1 million views on TikTok and then never have another video with 1 million views ever again. It doesn't mean anything. People see your video, like your song, great, and then you're gone from their mind. But when somebody sees you in a gig, or you play to a room of 10 people, and you play well and you like perform well and you have a personality, like, it's really nice. It's an underrated way of promotion, you know? So I don't know, it's a really like complicated topic, and also maybe one I'm not qualified to speak on, because famously my EP does not have very many streams. So if we're talking about how to get lots of streams on a song, I'm probably not the best person to ask. But if we're talking about how you can like feel fulfilled in your creative endeavors, perform live, whether or not it helps you with your streams, it does help you with your heart. So that's the first thing. I think generally just not being so proud of like being aloof and like mysterious on social media. Just make a shit ton of videos and post them. Talking of videos, I think I would have really benefited from just having like more content that was not filmed in my bedroom. So I wish I had like borrowed a friend and been like, let's go to a location and you can film me just like walking around or whatever it is, lip syncing, just so we had some like B-roll to use, you know, in videos. A big thing I think I really flopped on is I wish I'd done 2 singles instead of 1, maybe even 3, and I wish I'd released them 6 weeks apart, and then it gives you a really long time to like build the hype and the journey and the vibe for that particular song. I feel like when you stretch the releases out, it's like probably a good thing, because people can like get to know each song individually, whereas like my songs just kind of got like shat out way too quick. Actually, that might be my number 1 thing that I wish I did. I want to finish the video with saying that ironically, the best piece of promotion I did for my EP was the video I made about how I made my EP, which I really wasn't expecting. It was very much like a bit of a self-indulgent video because I wanted to reflect on the process and stuff. But it turns out people are really interested in how other people's creative process happens. Honestly, I think the biggest thing I learned about promotion was that video where I spoke about things I did wrong, things I didn't know, and just like I was very honest about my process. I was very much myself. I was not trying to paint a picture that I was an independent artist who knew what I was doing. And it seemed to really connect with people. My streams on my EP went up almost double, probably more actually, since I made that video. I think that is a big takeaway. Being honest, not gatekeeping, showing up as yourself, flaws, cracks, flops, and all. I think that's kind of everything I want to say. Knowing me while I'm editing, I'm probably gonna have a few more additions, webcam additions. I want to say again, I know I said it already, but like the response to the video about how I made my EP was truly so lovely and I feel so grateful. It's really nice after feeling a bit out of YouTube to kind of come back and realise people do care about making music and indie artists and all of that stuff. So thank you so much for watching it and commenting. It means a lot to me. That's everything. I'm going to leave you here. I am tentatively thinking about doing a year of songs, one song a month. If you've been subscribed for a while, you know I did that when it was like 2017 or something, and it was probably like the most creatively fulfilled year ever. It was awesome. So I'm thinking about it. We'll see, but I definitely want to keep posting on YouTube this year and hopefully make another EP. Whoa. Whoa. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have let that slip. Anyway, lots of love. Bye-bye.